Aloha. Morning, everyone. My birthday? Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
We greet you dry and well here on the island of Kauai at the Kauai Community College for the April 17, 2026 rescheduled meeting of the Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission. Thank you for being here, commissioners. We're just going to do a quick roll call. We have me and Ronald, Judge Ibarra here at the on island on Kauai, and we have the other commissioners on Zoom. Judge Brownie,
Here.
Judge Town,
Here.
Judge Ibarra here, Mark Patterson here, and then Martha's Tornay is excused for today. So we have 4 of our commissioners here today. Thank you all for being here. I'll take a motion at this time to approve the minutes of our February 12th meeting. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Judge Ibarra and seconded by Judge Town that we accept the minutes as written. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same. Motion passed. I'd like to welcome Tommy Johnson, Director of the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation, to our monthly meeting. Tommy, I'll give you the floor at this time.
Great, thank you. Not too much to report, but I got to go over a few things. As you guys know, there was an incident that happened with one of the work inmates participating in the work furlough program. As a result of that incident, we, out of an abundance of caution, we pulled 56 people from the work furlough program temporarily whose incident offense was an offense against a person. This did not affect anyone in the program whose incident offense wasn't against a person, anyone who had been tentatively granted parole already, regardless of the offense they committed, and anyone on extended furlough, regardless of the type of offense they committed. I'll be meeting with the governor to brief him on our review of the work furlough program from top to bottom, statewide. So in short, the work furlough program, the selection process is very solid. There are some things that we could do a little bit better, which is look at improving our electronic monitoring capabilities and some other things. But the process and the program itself is solid. The unforeseen incident that occurred, we could not have anticipated because the person was completely compliant with all the conditions. There was no contact with the victim whatsoever, and there was no indication via our review of the telephone calls, any written correspondence, anything that there was any kind of tension. So I'll be briefing the governor hopefully next week, and then we'll be shortly thereafter most likely returning the program back to normal operations. We did notify all the employers that those people who were temporarily pulled from the program had done nothing wrong, and this was a decision made above their head. And we also informed the family members of those in the work furlough program or whoever was the POC for that person in the work furlough program. We had the case managers contact them as well. With respect to OCCC, there's no update to provide. We are waiting for a release of additional funds. I did remove the 300-bed CTC from the OCCC site months ago because it made more sense to just look at building the jail itself with the programming, but also to raise the Lomaka work furlough site and add the bed space there and consolidate Lomaka work furlough and the intake service center operations on Oahu, so that we have one efficient location to do community supervision, but also monitor the folks on the work furlough program. In addition to that, well, we made that decision for a few reasons. One, it made more sense, efficiency of operations. It would put the work furlough, it would put the work for the CTC, for lack of a better term, right downtown near the major transportation, which is the rail and buses, and that's where the cities are. That's where the jobs are. Most of the jobs are anywhere downtown. Anyone that would be released from the OCCC that's not picked up by a program or a loved one following their sentence, we would then transport them as a department to a specific location for them, so there's nobody, walk around the neighborhood lost or anything like that. That was one of the concerns at our AIA neighborhood board. With respect to the work furlough program. I want to go back a little bit. Module 20 is currently being used for work furlough. So those folks would then go to the new work furlough site. And that would free up bed space in OCCC. They could have another complete module to work with. So that would help some of the overcrowding issues in OCCC. That's all we have. There are some bills moving before the legislature. I am happy to report out, and I'm not trying to steal your thunder, Christian, but we did, and I probably mispronounced your name, I apologize. We did come to an agreement on language in the Compassionate Release Bill, HPA, the Oversight Commission, and DCR. We did send a joint letter to Senator Fukunaga encouraging her to accept the language from the original version of Senate Bill 2688, I believe, and she acknowledged receipt, and she'd indicate that she would talk to those who were selected for those committees and provide a copy of the letter to them. So we're hoping that they accept the language change, because what that does is it's right from our policy, and it allows for HPA to consider, and for DCR for that matter, to consider a wider range of folks' medical conditions for compassionate release instead of the real stringent, strict language that's in the current measure. So we're hoping that we do get that language put into the bill. Other than that, subject to the questions of the Oversight Commission, that's all I have.
Thank you, Tommy. Commissioners, any questions at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5. Thank you, Tommy. Overview of the commission's legislative priorities, and I'll ask Kristen to go ahead and brief us on what she's been going.
Yes, no problem. So Tommy stole a little bit of my thunder, but that's okay. I'm really glad that the commission and HPA and DCR have been able to really collectively work together to try to push forward compassionate release. That's definitely been one of our main priorities. As far as a list of bills that are still alive, I just wanted to briefly go through those just so the public is aware. These are specific bills that the commission had decided to support. And so first off, we have HB 1516 HD1 SD1, which is relating to pretrial release. Right now it's past third reading, and so as long as it's pushed forward to conference committee and it makes it through, then it'll move forward to the governor's office. We also have compassionate release. Both the House bill and the Senate bill have made it through the entire session, which is amazing. So that's HB 1628 HD2 SD1. And then also the companion SB 26688 SD1 HD1. And so again, at this point, conferees need to be chosen so that both of those can move forward to conference committee. One will be chosen to obviously be discussed and amended. One of them will die. And we're really hoping that the language that Director Johnson had referred to is amended so we can make sure that the people who, really need to be eligible can remain eligible. We also have HB 1518 HD1 SD1, which is relating to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. This is one that the commission has mostly done written testimony for, but it's really just to support the department in making sure that people can get signed up for SNAP before being released from custody. And then last we have HB 1769 HD2 SD1, which is relating to correctional facilities. This one is pretty specific to requiring the department to bring people home from the Saguaro Correctional Center in Arizona. It's the way that the bill is set up is that it's incremental, and so it's percentage based year by year, and it continues to increase year by year. The commission is in support of this, and so again, all of those bills, as long as conferees are chosen, they should be moving to conference committee. You never know what happens in conference committee. It can be kind of a toss-up, but we're hoping that all of those bills continue to move forward. The only other two that I wanted to mention is there were two Senate concurrent resolutions, which is Senate Concurrent Resolution 89. This was really specifically requesting the Oversight Commission to establish an advisory committee to develop recommendations on the implementation and alternative models for rehabilitation and restorative justice on Oahu. And so really what it's asking is that the commission works with specific members listed in the SCR. Whether it be Native Hawaiian practitioners or community members from the IAEA community. But we're really looking at the Breaking Cycles report that was posted, I believe, last year, and trying to come up with ways that we can really support the department in actually implementing recommendations from that report. The other one is SCR 60 SD1. This is requesting the department to provide an update on the findings of the proof of concept study referred to Breaking Cycles. And so the commission supports this. It's really asking, I believe, for quarterly updates from the department, just to incorporate the Breaking Cycles report with the ongoing jail planning. And so all of those measures are still moving along. We're coming to the end of legislative session, thank God. But I'm happy to keep the commission updated as far as what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Conference committee does start next week, and then it'll go into the week after that before session ends.
Thank you, Kristen. Is there any comments or testimony from the public regarding Kristen's report on legislative priorities at this time? Online or in the room? Hearing none. Commissioners, any questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Kristen, for your job. I'm going to just keep you online as we move into the coordinator's report at this time.
All right. So those of you who may not be aware, the Oversight Commission, specifically the Oversight Coordinator, is required to publicly post a monthly report really covering all of the commission's actions and any funding that was spent for the past month. A part of this report, we always report on deaths in custody. And unfortunately, I do have one from March to announce. And so on Sunday, March 29th, 2026, at approximately 7:35 p.m., a Japanese male in custody, 65 years old, at Halava Correctional Facility was found unresponsive in his cell. Medical personnel immediately responded, conducted CPR, and alerted 911. Fire and EMS arrived on the scene at approximately 7:45. And at approximately 8:40 p.m., the individual was unfortunately pronounced deceased. An autopsy will determine the official cause of death. And just a friendly reminder for the public, we do request all autopsies immediately upon notification of death. Some of them we receive very, very quickly, and some of them take about 3 to 6 months. So we'll continue to update as we move along. For tours and events attended recently, I had the privilege of taking a University of Law School from Okinawa, Japan, to OCCC, which was very interesting. We had an interpreter and a large group of the dean, her staff, law students. They really were interested in just learning more about Hawaii's correctional system. It was a great way to build a working relationship with another country, and so we really appreciate them coming out. And as far as events attended, HCSU Commission staff had attended the First Circuit's course ceremony celebrating its first inaugural graduating class of the Oahu Post-Booking Jail Diversion Program. This is really exciting. This has been a very long program in the making. And so 7 participants had successfully completed. They were recognized by Circuit Court Judge Ronald Johnson. They received certificates of completion, and we just really appreciate the collaborative treatment-focused approach that really is diverting people out of the jail system completely. And so we're excited that our staff got to attend that. One thing that's in our report this month, and this is the first time that we're actually reporting out on this, is complaints received by the commission. So we're very, very excited that we were able to fund and build out a case management system where we can really track all of our incoming complaints. And so this reporting will continue to build and grow. We will have more and more to report, but for our first time out, we at least wanted to highlight the status of complaints. And so right now we have 70 closed complaints, 115 open complaints, and then 191 that are pending. And what pending means is that we have them, we've acknowledged them, we just haven't gotten to them yet to investigate. And so they're kind of in the waiting field. We've also broken up our complaints by the prison system and also the jail system. Most of our complaints do come from Saguaro on the prison side. And then on the jail side, most of our complaints, unsurprisingly, come from OCCC. It is our largest facility. The next largest would be HCCC that we receive the most complaints from. We also kind of separated out complaints from the women's facility just because it's our only hybrid facility that encompasses jail and prison population. But we've received more complaints from the prison population at WCCC. And then lastly, I just want to highlight in the report that starting last month, we actually started posting about findings on lack of movement throughout the prison system. This is something that the commission has been very, very consistently talking about at least since 2020. But we really started tracking movement in the prison system starting in 2023. And what the commission has consistently found is that there are minimum custody individuals who are consistently placed in higher level facilities. And so instead of being placed at Kulani or Waiava, where there's more treatment and more movement and more opportunities, we're finding that they're being placed at Halava or Saguaro. So this is something that, you can pull up our reports and look at our charts. This is also an issue that I very recently gave a presentation to the Senate this week, actually. And so in our next Oversight Coordinator report, we'll be sure to include that presentation, but it really gives a further breakdown about the impact of putting minimums in higher level facilities. Other than that, I think that's everything outside of I did just want to mention to the public that I am expecting my second son. I'm very excited. This will most likely be my last commission meeting for a few months, so I will miss you all greatly. Our next commission meeting is scheduled for May 14th. I'm due May 8th, so I really hope that I'm not still pregnant May 14th. But I appreciate you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all when I get back.
Thank you, Kristen, for that report. And of course, congratulations. I know you're full term today and you're just anticipating the commission's second unmarried child to be coming soon. So, blessings on you at this time. Let's reach out to the public online and in the room if you have any testimony or any comments on the report that the Oversight Coordinator just presented. You can find it online with all the other monthly reports that she does so well. And any questions, you can always email us if you have any afterthoughts. With that in mind, commissioners, any questions?
Mark, briefly, are we going to get to the number 7 eventually? Get report on that? Male interference.
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hearing no other comments on agenda item number 6, we'll move toward number 7, and I'll call upon the Oversight Coordinator once again to give us a update on what that is referring to.
No problem. Thank you. So the commission opted to put this issue on the agenda because recently we had received a complaint from an individual in custody that specifically their legal mail, but also their mail in general, was being interfered with at OCCC. When we began looking into it, we found that the department had already had kind of initial findings that showed that not only was it true that this person's mail had been tampered with for the past 2 years, but at least 10 other individuals' mail had also been tampered with. We're extremely concerned about that. This is an issue that isn't uncommon to be brought up in correctional facilities. It's not uncommon for people to claim that their mail has been interfered with, but it is uncommon to be able to prove that. And so the fact that the facility was able to very definitively, at least in their initial findings, prove it, was concerning to us. The facility, we did confirm with them that they hadn't notified the judiciary or the prosecuting attorney or the judges. Nobody was notified that these findings had occurred, and so the commission opted to notify the judiciary, the prosecuting attorney, the public defender's office, and also for our specific complainant, his attorney. We did this because we wanted to kind of remind the judiciary as a whole that when people are bringing up issues like this within the jail system, it is important to put at least a little bit of weight on it, because unfortunately, we're finding that this is a clear issue. We're also hearing about issues with mail interference happening in Halava. So this is an issue that, again, is still under current investigation with the department. The commission is continuing to look at it as well. But the commission did feel like it was very important to notify the public about this and just remind people that this is a very serious issue, number one. But number two, when people are claiming these types of things, it's really important for state and city and county agencies to at least not brush it away immediately.
Thank you, Kristen. Any comments from the online or in the room concerning this report on the mail?
Is this a good time, Martin?
Hearing none, go ahead, Judge.
Yeah. I got one actually at my mediator's office. People are upfront, honestly correct that they want to be heard, and they don't know how to get heard. So there should be an easy, sweet way to be heard. And it was. I don't want to go into the specifics, but it came from out of state, and the person had a good point. I don't know. It's right in the Bill of Rights, right to petition for grievance there. And so I really support what I hear, and we got to make it really easy. And I hope staff welcomes it. I understand it can be a humbug to have somebody complain, but the one that I saw, and I think I forwarded it to you, Kristen, is very important.
In regards to, I'll just add a little bit to what you just shared, Judge Stone and Kristen. I'm going off of memory, and correct me if I'm wrong. In regards to the ability to bring up concerns from the offender population, in regards to PREA incidents, there's supposed to be PREA locked boxes that they can drop complaints into. A box that is monitored by the individuals specifically designed to manage the PREA boxes. Legal mail or complaints of that nature is another box that is secured and dropped, and things can be dropped in, and there's someone personally accountable to be collecting those on a daily basis, like the PREA box. Sometimes they're the same guys, sometimes they're two different guys. Okay. Then there's a grievance box. Yeah, where the official grievance forms can be placed into after being signed off by staff into a box, and there's another individual or the same guy that collects that information. So those are three secured avenues for which individuals can bring up issues and drop into a secured location. And as they are collected, they are logged into some kind of database so that they're known that it was received and that they can be followed up with. Legal calls, including attorneys and ombudsmen, is another way issues can be raised within the offender population. So as you can see, there are multiple ways, but every so often we need to look at how they are being managed, or if they're being managed correctly. And when a offender comes to us and said, I put in so many complaints and I've heard nothing back, it gives us an opportunity when we receive the complaint, see if at all these complaints were filed, and if not, if anything was not moved on. Yeah. So there, I believe there is, in theory, good systems in place right now for these things to happen. The Oversight Commission's role is to monitor to see that it is actually an effective systems that is being utilized at this time. So just wanted to add that in. Anything to that, Kristen?
No, nothing to add. The only thing that I did want to reassure the public for is that we recognize that this is a federal offense, messing with people's mail and especially obviously legal mail. And so when it comes down to it, we just wanted to reassure the public that when the investigation is complete, depending on the findings, if there is illegal activity, as far as that's concerned, we would make sure that we forward it to the appropriate authorities.
Is my understanding that it took 2 years to figure out that this was happening?
It was going on for 2 years, yes. The individual continuously grieved about it. And the facility continuously found that there was no evidence of that until I think 6 months ago is when they found evidence.
I think it's, I would just say that I appreciate what the department has done to investigate and to investigate this matter. However, it's disturbing to me that this went on for 2 years. That it happened at all, first, but secondly, that it went on for 2 years. And I mean, I don't think there's any question that it's not just a violation of federal law, it's a violation of these individuals' constitutional and civil rights. And so it's something that hopefully we'll be able to resolve. I guess what I would like to know is not understanding all the factual elements that or factors that led up to this. I'd like to know what measures the department takes to prevent this from happening again. So perhaps we could get an answer sometime, not necessarily now, when the department finishes its investigation.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I did bring this issue up to the director, I think this month or maybe last month. And so I know that it wasn't something that he was fully aware of. I know that it was something that his staff below him were working on. And so I'm sure that he'll get up to date, and I'm sure that Director Johnson would have no issue with giving an update as far as the full scope of what happened and also how they're preventing it. I know that the individual who was involved has been removed from the mailroom, not removed from the facility, but at least removed from the mailroom. And as far as we can tell, mail is moving through. We've consistently gotten mail from OCCC. But yeah, it's definitely something that we are very closely tracking.
Well, just to further embroider this, these whistleblower cases can turn into liability, which we would prefer this never to happen. But I read all the time that there's lawsuits for money damages, and it can prevent all that.
Thank you, Commissioners. Christian will continue when she comes back. And we are looking more into it as well in the meantime. Reporting out more robustly on how the systems are being managed. Yeah. So let's move on to item number 8 on the agenda, the Makahiki observations and upcoming report that's listed there on the agenda. So real brief and summary, and I'm going to explain it as best as I can. Historically, among the Native Hawaiian population, Native Hawaiians ancestrally, Makahiki was a time in the year where the people would celebrate the harvest. Yeah, and it would be in the late fall and the early spring. You have an opening ceremony and a closing ceremony. So depending on the islands, you'll have different interpretations of when and when it starts and when it ends. Now, about maybe a little over 20 years ago, Makahiki became was introduced in Arizona, I believe, and it was very successful as the offender population took it upon themselves to learn. There was ceremony involved. Hawaiian practitioners would go up and help the offenders develop the makahiki in an incarcerated environment. They did the chanting, they did the processions, they did the ceremonial issues, they danced the hula, and they sang songs. Yeah, and they had cultural events during a period of time that the facility set aside for them to do these things. And they partake in a meal. Okay. And so that has been going on for 20. It went into Waiava, Halava, and I believe they may even had some ceremonies in Otupsi. Now, as administrations would change with the governors, you would have very active participation by the facilities, or you would have inactivity that would occur. So there have been great experiences over the years of the individuals participating, helping with their rehabilitation and going back and transitioning to the community. I know Makahiki was a big thing on a motion picture that was made called Out of State. Yeah, where it highlighted two individuals in Arizona and their transition back and how important Makahiki was for them. And for the past year or so, we've been getting I don't want to say the complaints or issues are being raised to us concerning the lack of the ability to do makahiki like they used to be done in facilities such as Waiawa and Halava and Women's, and they were being done different. So we were looking at how can we consolidate the manner by which the department or make recommendations, really formalize the program so that it can be an annual event and set a foundation as a cultural event for the entire facility to come around and funnel programming into it. More, not just as the event itself, but as you lead up to the event and after the event. I know I had conversation with those that are doing makahiki to ask them, what can you also organize in the community so when the men come out, they can still participate in an annual makahiki event outside of the prison setting. So this thing is still moving. It's still moving forward in terms of formalizing something that can be powerful in helping in transition and changing lives. And so we had written a report. Staff had gone to each of the facilities I just mentioned to ask what the makahiki concerns were from the administration of the facilities, as well as the offender populations, and to see how what kind of conclusions that we could come up to. And so we did have a report. We did have a sit down with the DCR to discuss it. And so we're going to work together to fill out some of the things that the report has discussed so that we can come up with not just something from Hawaii Correctional System Oversight Commission's reporting on something, but DCR wants to add to the report as well. So that's where we're kind of at that particular point. Kristen, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I appreciate that DCR really wanted to collaborate on this. I think when I showed them the initial report and findings, like they were also pretty concerned and really wanted to elevate this in their priorities. And so one of the things that we really want to do with the report is include DCR's response and also like the actions that they've taken. And we want to give them a little bit of time to take those actions. And so we're looking at releasing the report early fall. And so either August or September that can kind of encompass DCR's responses. But what I'm looking forward to is this upcoming Makahiki season. I think it'll be very different than what we saw this year. And so again, I just appreciate the department taking our concerns seriously, and we're more than happy to include, the actions that they're able to take in these next few months to add more context.
I'll take some comments from the online or in the room concerning this particular item agenda at this time from the public.
Mark, I have a brief point when you have time.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
I was 8 years on the parole board. The parole is a parole commissioner, and many folks are a little bit shy and should be, I guess, maybe about their culture, and they need to be encouraged. Many had wonderful names of every walk of life, could be Hawaiian, could be you name it, representing the richness of Hawaii. And we need to really honor that. I had one gentleman, he told me up front, his grandma told him, and he didn't know it till she passed on, Ka'imi Ola, in search of life. And it meant a great deal to him. But many people don't want to raise that. So we really need to encourage these important cultural things. And generally, people in general are shy, but the inmate population is definitely going to be shy about it. And if they are indeed Native Hawaiian or First Nation, we really need to encourage it. And I can't tell you some of the amazing hearings that I had a chance to sit through and hear from family. That's it.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments from the other commissioners? Thank you, Judge. We'll move on, and that report will be upcoming, and so we'll discuss more when it comes out. Item number 9. I'm going to open up testimony at this time for any of those of you who are online or in the room for public testimony for anything that wasn't on the agenda at this time to make the commission aware of any issues that you may have. Okay, we're seeing none. We do have May 14th, it was a Thursday. We'll have our next meeting, and it will be on the Big Island in Hilo, and we will be touring the Hawaii Community Correctional Center. We're excited today to go back and visit Hawaii Community Correctional Center today. We'll report out on that in May. And I think that's all we have for today. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Stay dry, and we'll see you soon. Aloha.